Hi guys! So we're going to do our next set of notes. I'm going to be putting up a few videos today, and you could just go in and do one set a day or one set every other day. So today we're going to go into Unit 7, into our polynomials, and we're looking at notes on dividing a polynomial by a monomial. So I'm going to go over those notes, and then you can do some practice. So let's look at the examples that we have up first. Now these are going to be dividing just like what we did when we were dividing exponents, except for now we've got a polynomial on top and a monomial on bottom. So when we go to divide this, we have to take this 4n and we are going to divide it into each of these. So let's look at this piece first. 4n divided into 8n squared. Well, 8 divided by 4 is going to leave me 2. N squared divided by n is going to leave me 1n. So that's the first part. Now I'm going to look at this as if it's a whole separate piece. And I'm going to take that 4 into that negative 36, which is going to give me a negative 9. And n here is going to get canceled out by the n there. And so we're not going to have an n when we come down. So our answer is simply going to be 2n minus 9. So now let's look at the second example. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to divide the first part first. So negative 14 divided by 7 is going to give me a negative 2. I have 12 x's divided by 2 x's. So remember my rule, whenever I'm dividing, I'm actually just subtracting those numbers. So 12 minus 2 is going to give me 10. Then I have 5y's minus 2y's. So I have 3y's left. Now I'm going to look at the second piece. If you notice, these are exactly the same. And anytime we divide a number by itself, we're going to get 1. So this is going to be plus 1. And that is our answer for that one. So let's go ahead and look at a couple of more problems. All right, so let's look at number 2. So number 2 has 10v squared plus 5v minus 15. So you notice now we've got 3 here instead of 2. We're dividing all of this by 5. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to take each piece. We're going to say 10 divided by 5 is going to give me 2. I don't have any variables down here, so I'm just going to bring down that v squared. Here, I've got 5 divided by 5, which is going to give me 1. I still have to take into account that v. So I've got 1v. Remember, I don't have to write that 1 there. Then I'm going to do negative 15 divided by 5, which is going to give me negative 3. And I just do each piece separately. Let's go ahead and look at 6. So for number 6, we've got 6a squared b minus 12ab squared. And we are dividing this by a negative 2ab. It's very important to remember that we are dividing by a negative number here. We can't just let that go. So here, I've got a positive divided by a negative, so that's going to give me a negative. 6 divided by 2 is going to be 3. A squared divided by a is going to give me a, but notice my b's are going to cancel out here. So I don't have a b to bring down. Then when I go to this side, I've got a negative divided by a negative, and that's going to give me a positive number. So 12 divided by 2 is going to give me 6. In this case, my a's are going to cancel out, and I'm going to be left with a b. So as you see, these are pretty much the same as what we were doing when we had just the monomials. It's just now we're carrying it over. All right, let's go ahead and flip to the back. And let's look at a couple of them there. Let's look at 13. In number 13, we have some things that change around a little bit. Remember before, some stayed on top and some stayed on bottom when we were dividing? Well, we're going to have that now too. So we got negative 24 x to the 7 plus 9 x to the 3rd minus 15x. And we're dividing all of this by 3x to the 5th power. Now, let's take it one section at a time. When we look at the first section, negative 24 divided by 3 is going to give me a negative 8. I have 7x's here, 5x's here, so that's negative x squared, just like what we've been doing. Now, what happens here though? Here, you notice that the 3 is smaller than the 5. So we're going to have to be very careful when we get to these. This is going to be a positive, so I'm going to go ahead and put my positive. Now, this 9 divided by 3 gives me a 3. That 3 is going to have to go on top, because remember, if we write 3 as a fraction, it would be 3 over 1. So that 3 is going to have to go on top. However, when we look at these x's, there's 3 on top and 5 on bottom. So these 2 x's that are left are going to have to stay on the bottom. This is only going to be true for this one. So this one will be written right. This one's going to have to be written as a fraction so that we can put that x on the bottom. Now here, again, this is like we only have 1 here and 5 here. So I know that if I subtract these, I'm going to get a negative 4. So that x is going to have to go on the bottom. But 15 divided by 3 is going to give me a positive 5. And there's no negative exponent here that's going to bring it down to the bottom. So that 5 has to be placed on the top. Then the 1 minus 5 is going to leave me 4 x's on the bottom. So each piece is going to be written either in a fraction or written like this, depending on how it solves out. Let's look at another one of these just so we can make sure you understand them. Let's go ahead and look at number 14. All right, so for number 14, we have 15 x to the 5th minus 25 x to the 3rd plus 5 x squared. And we're dividing this all by 5 x to the 4th. I should be able to look at this right away and tell which ones are going to give me fractions. This is a 5. It's bigger than my 4. That one's not going to need to be a fraction. The 3 is smaller than the 4, so that's going to end up being a fraction. Here, the 2 is smaller than the 4, so I know that one's going to end up being a fraction. So just be very careful when you do these. So let's start with the first one. 15 divided by 5 is going to give me 3. I'm going to end up with 1x left. That's going to all be on the top, so I don't even have to write that as a fraction. Look at my second one now. We're going here. This is a minus, so I'm going to bring down that minus. 25 divided by 5 is going to give me a 5 that goes on top. If I simplify this down, it would look like 5 over 1. It would not be 1/5. So that 5 goes on the top. But here, 3 minus 4 is going to give me a negative 1, which is going to put that x underneath that line. Now we're going to go this way. We notice right off the bat, 5 divided by 5 is going to give me a 1. So all I'm really looking at is these x's. So I've got 2 here and 4 here. So my 1 is right here. And I've got 2 x's that are left on the bottom. If you start doing these and practice them, you'll see how they work and you'll be all right with these. Let's go down and do some that are a little bit more complicated. So let's go down to the bottom of the page where it says challenge. Put it all together. All right, let's start with 17. For 17, we have 15x squared plus 6x over 3x times 2x minus 1. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to simplify this right here out. This is going to give me 5x. 6x divided by 3 is going to give me plus 2. Now that I have that, I have to multiply it by this 2x minus 1. Now we're back to our FOIL method that we've learned earlier. So let's do our FOIL, do our first. That's going to give us 10x squared. Do our outside, which is negative 5x. Do our inside, which is plus 4x. And then our last, which is going to be negative 2. We have to combine our like terms right here. So we're going to end up with 10x squared minus x minus 2. So we just got to put it all together. Everything that we've learned is going to all come together. Now, let's look at 18. 18 is one of those problems that I'm hoping I'm going to be able to fit on this board. So, let's see. And hopefully I get everything written right. All right, so we got 2r to the third, s to the, wow, I think that's 8. I cannot even read that. All right, times 7r to the 7th minus 5r3 s4 minus 2r10 s8 minus 6r6 s12. Okay, that is one crazy problem. So let's take it one step at a time. Oh, I almost forgot the whole bottom here. Let's put the bottom in. Divided by 4 r2 s4. Now, this problem looks crazy. So, step 1, we're going to go ahead and we are going to distribute here. So let's go ahead and do that. That is going to give us, I gotta write this so we can see it, 14 r10 s8 minus 10 r6 s12. Now, here, remember this is like you're distributing a negative 1. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to write minus 2r10 s8, and a negative times a negative is going to be a positive 6r6 s12, all divided by 4 rs s4. Okay, so before we divide, let's go ahead and combine some like terms if we can. So let's see. Let me get a different color here. We can combine, this is a r10 s8, and this is a r10 s8. So let's go ahead and combine those. 14 minus 2 is going to give me 12 r10 s8. Then here, I've got r6 s12 and r6 s12. So I've got a negative 10 and a positive 6. So I am going to end up with a negative 4 r6 s12. Now, again, can't remember I have to divide this all by 4 r2 s4. So, now, finally, I'm going to come back and I'm going to divide each one of these. So 12 divided by 4 is going to give me 3. I have 10 r's here divided by 2 r's there, which is going to give me 8 r's. S, I have 8 and 4. So 8 minus 4 is 4. Now, I've got a negative here. 4 divided by 4 is just 1. I do not have to write that 1. Then I've got r6 divided by r2. That's going to give me an r4. S12 divided by S4 is going to give me S8. So now I have to look at these and see if I can combine like terms. But these are not like terms because notice here I have a R8 and an R4. So that is going to be my final answer. Let's go ahead and try one more. Let's go ahead and look at number 20. We'll do the last one together. So let's look at number 20. I have 4k squared plus 2k times 5k squared minus 3 all over 6k. Tell me what you think that we're going to do first here. I hope you said we're going to do FOIL first. We're going to go ahead and do our first. That's going to give me 20k to the 4th. That's our first. Then we're going to do our outside minus 12k squared. Then we're going to do our inside. That's going to be 10k to the 3rd. Then we're going to do our outside, which is going to be a minus 6k. And of course, all of that's going to go over 6k. So, is there anything here that I can combine like terms with? And when I look at this, I've got a 4, a 2, a 3, and a k. Nothing is like terms. So, what am I going to do? Alright, let's start with our first one. Does 20 divide by 6 evenly? No, it doesn't. So all we can do is simplify this. If I had 20 over 6, and we'll kind of draw this over here. If I had 20 over 6, I could simplify this down by dividing both of these by 2, and that would give me 10 over 3. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to simplify this fraction. So I've got 10 over 3. Now I've got 4 k's here and 1 k there. So where do you think that k is going to end up going? Okay, so there's two ways. You can either go ahead and put that k up there like that, or you can write it like that. And either way is fine. You can stick it on the top up there with that 10, or you could write it beside it. Now let's look at this one. Negative 12 divided by 6. Oh good, I can divide that one evenly. It's going to be a negative 2, and I have 1k left over. Now on this one, I'm back to the same thing. I can't divide 10 and 6 evenly. So I'm going to divide both of them by 2, and I'm going to end up with 5/3. And how many k's am I going to have left? I have 2 left. Then if we look, I've got a negative 6k and a 6k. Because these are the same, I know it's just going to equal 1. So I'm going to have a minus 1. However, one thing, we have not written this correctly yet because it is not in standard form. Remember, I need to have these written in the correct form. I need to go from my highest exponent down to my lowest. So I'm going to actually rewrite this so that it is in the correct form. So I'll put my 3rd first. Then I'm going to go to the 2nd power, to the 1k, down to my constant. And that is my answer to that one. Now, if you look in your homework folder, your classwork homework folder, if you look at Unit 7 Homework 4, that will give you some practice problems that you can do. The answer key is in there too, so after you do some problems, go in and check and see how you do. Make sure you're doing these because one of the projects that you're going to have after spring break is going to be on polynomials. And you need to make sure you understand this so that you're going to be able to do that project. If you have questions, email me, message me through Schoology. I'm here to help you. Bye guys.